it is now time for our mock draft 3.0. This is now picks 21 to 31. We're wrapping up our first round of the draft. Once again, just rule reminders, no trades. This is just straight through picks 1 to 31. The reason there aren't 32 picks, I'll remind you, the Dolphins tampering Tom Brady back in 2020 led to them losing their first round pick this year. But let's get into it. I will pick first. Let's jump right into it. Pick 21, the Los Angeles Chargers select. Going with Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan Robinson is a phenomenal running back. People say he's probably the only first-round running back that is even, close to being a first-round running back. The Chargers are dealing with Austin Eckler, and he said worst-case scenario, he's back on the Chargers. So if you're saying that your number one running back, worst-case scenario, is returning to your team, yeah, you're probably going to need to get another running back, and Bijan Robinson has been a very, very, very dominant running back in college. I think this would be a pretty good pickup for the Chargers and replace a hole that is clearly going to be missing if you're going to have Austin Eckler, who once again said worst case scenario, he's back on the team. Very, very interesting. Pick 22, the Baltimore Ravens select Deonte Banks. I believe he's a cornerback from Maryland. Now, I understand people probably want to go offensive here. However, the Baltimore Ravens lost Marcus Peters in this offseason. I believe he's not signed, but if the Ravens are not going to pursue him to re-sign him, you got to get a guy to line up with Marlon Humphrey. And this guy is an absolutely dominant, quick player. I think this is a wonderful pickup for the Ravens. You got to have that number 2 corner, or maybe I doubt it'll be the number 1 corner, but number 2 corner, line him up next to against a phenomenal defensive back with Marlon Humphrey. Good pickup for the Ravens. I know people want to go offensive here. It's not the Ravens to do offensive. I'm going with what I think the teams will pick, not what I want to pick. Otherwise, I would add Jackson Smith and Jig would go to the Patriots in the last mock draft. Pick number 23, an interesting pick that I think may make sense. I got the Minnesota Vikings taking quarterback Hendon Hooker. Now, Kirk Cousins is on the last year of his deal this year. He's making, I believe, $35 million fully guaranteed. Kirk Cousins has been a liability in primetime games. I believe that's an understatement. For basically his entire career, he has not been able to play in primetime games. Hendon Hooker, I believe, has played the most college games out of any of these quarterbacks that are probably going to be in this first round. You want to get a mature quarterback? He doesn't even need to play this year. You can put him behind Kirk Cousins for this year, and then let Kirk Cousins go. Don't pay him. Get Hendon Hooker on your team, and there you go. You have an experienced college quarterback who I guarantee you, I think this is going to be an interesting pick. He's big, he's athletic, he's strong. I think the Minnesota Vikings could definitely look into this situation.
Isn't he a little older?
He is a little bit older, yeah. But I still think, Kirk Cousins is a 1-year deal. This is the last year of his contract. I think you got to find a replacement here. You want to get a young-ish player, younger than Kirk Cousins, obviously. Get a quarterback that is probably, I would say, somewhat most NFL ready. I know Bryce Young's probably the most NFL ready. But get a guy that can play. I think Hendon Hooker is that guy. All right, let's go with pick number 24. The Jacksonville Jaguars select edge rusher Lucas Van Ness. You got to get a pass rush. You were below average, way below average. You were actually bottom 10 in the NFL in defense. You got to get an edge rusher. You got to get someone to pressure the quarterback. You're 28th in passing. You were 12th in rushing. Defense, obviously. Got to get a pass rusher. Lucas Van Ness, a lot of people have him going way up in this draft. So I think Lucas Van Ness, you got to get a good edge rusher. I think he's a phenomenal edge rusher. You got to bolster your defense better. I think your offense is more than adequate. You went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. You almost beat him. You had a couple opportunities to actually beat him in the playoffs last year. You made it to the playoffs for the first time since, 2017? So I think great opportunity to bolster your defense, get a better defense, upgrade your defense, get that edge rusher that you need, pressure the quarterback. I think this is a great pickup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The New York Giants, with Daniel Jones, brand new contract, 4 years, $160 million, $80 of that million guaranteed. The Giants select wide receiver Zay Flowers of Boston College. You got it. This is what we've been hearing all the time. All the time. Get Daniel Jones some weapons. Get him some weapons. How about we get a guy that's quick, that's speedy, that is a great slot receiver in Zay Flowers? Why not? He's quick, he's mobile, he's agile. He could run probably the entire wide receiver tree very effectively. You know, you want to get a guy that's great? Get Daniel Jones another weapon, get him a young talent. Get Zay Flowers. He's probably the best receiver at this point in the draft with Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith and Jigba with them gone. I think, you know, you want to get Daniel Jones some more weapons, prove that he's not as big a bust as people are thinking, or that he's not a top 10 quarterback like people were saying last year. You get him some talent, and we'll see. Now, I would have honestly had, if I didn't pick the Chargers to choose Bijan Robinson, I would have the Giants actually picking Bijan Robinson because Saquon Barkley has not signed his franchise tag and won't show up to voluntary workouts. So there's a little bit of a rift going on there. Will they sort it out? Probably at some point. But just in case you don't, you want to have Bijan Robinson as your backup. He's not available at this time in my mock draft. You got to go give Daniel Jones a wide receiver talent in Zay Flowers. I think that's a pretty good pickup. Zay Flowers at number 25. The Dallas Cowboys at number 26. Jerry Jones going for a Super Bowl ring with Dak Prescott. I'm going tight end Dalton Kincaid. Now, you lost Dalton Schultz in the offseason, so you need to repair that tight ending, the tight end group. Why not get a guy who's arguably the best route runner as a tight end in Dalton Kincaid? Now, I think Michael Myers is actually a little bit better than Dalton Kincaid, but I think Dalton Kincaid is a number two tight end in this draft class right now. I saw a couple people saying that he could be the number 1 tight end in this draft class. Well, at number 26, if the Cowboys get him when you lost Dalton Schultz, who was incredibly effective for your offense, I think it's going to be very, very important that you go and replenish that tight end group, pick up Dalton Kincaid, who once again, arguably the best tight end in this draft. I think it's Michael Myers. Personally, I had him gone at 15 to the Packers, but you get the second best. I think the Cowboys, and hey, Dak Prescott loves his tight ends. I think this is a great pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 27, the Buffalo Bills select. I'm going Trenton Simpson. I believe is defensive edge from Clemson. Now, we had some issues last year. Von Miller got hurt. The defense fell apart late in the season. They weren't that same dominant defense, and honestly, since week 1, they weren't honestly all that great on defense. They had their moments. I understand they're a top 10. They're number 6 total defense. However, their rushing defense was in large part due that was because of rushing defense. They were 5th in total rush defense. They were 15th in passing defense. I think honestly, Von Miller, you paid him a bunch of money. Will he get hurt again? That could be a big question mark. You want to have that backup. You want to have depth. You want to have the defensive end, a guy who could line up on any spot on the field. I believe you had him going a little bit sooner in the draft. You had him, I think, top 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Going to I think it was number 7.
I don't think he'll be there, Nate, at 27.
It may be. I'm not too sure, but I do think Trent Simpson is a good pickup here. I would have gone running back if I had Bijan Robinson available. I don't think there's another running back in the first round that is the same level as Bijan or is even worth the first round pick. I'm going defense. The Bills don't have a lot of holes. I would say you go Trenton Simpson at number 27. Number 28, the Cincinnati Bengals select, after a somewhat disappointing season in the playoffs, they select Emmanuel Forbes, defensive back, Mississippi State. I was taking a look at this cornerback group. It's not that great. And honestly, it's not that great. Now, you could go offensive line. I was really honestly debating getting another offensive lineman because I didn't know exactly how great, any of these pickups were. The offensive linemen at this point aren't, exactly phenomenal compared to the offensive linemen earlier in this draft. However, you see a lot of linemen who are depth players who could play almost any spot on the line, who get picked, second, third, fourth round, and could be definitely formidable on most, if not any team. Emmanuel Forbes, I think, is a great pickup for a cornerback group that doesn't look that dominant. You got like Mike Hinton and I'm forgetting his name. I'll bring it up right now. But your quarterback group is not good. And in the AFC, where you have Mahomes throwing the ball, you got Josh Allen, you have Tua when he's healthy. People hate saying that, but Tua when he's healthy is a pretty good quarterback. Who was I thinking of? You got Cam Taylor-Britt. You got Marvell Tell III. Mike Hinton, like I said. Chidobe Awuzie. That's what I was thinking about. He's another cornerback of yours. You don't really have a dominant cornerback group in the AFC. You want to add a young guy who's quick, who's big, who has phenomenal reflexes. Emmanuel Forbes is your guy at number 28. Number 29, the New Orleans Saints with brand new quarterback Derek Carr select Nolan Smith, defensive edge, I believe, or defensive end. The Saints defense took some major hits, especially on that defensive line. Major hits. I have the list here of players that they lost. David Onyemata, defensive tackle. Shy Tuttle, defensive tackle. Marcus Davenport, defensive end. Kentavious Street, defensive tackle. They had like the number 4 defense a few years ago, and they still had a very, very good defense last year. I'll bring up the number right now. They had the 5th ranked defense last year. And you lost you lost at least 2 of your guys, maybe 3 if you include Tuttle, Onyemata and Davenport, who were both insane parts of that defense. Now, I believe you still have Cam Jordan, but besides him, you don't have those other threats. You want to get Nolan Smith from Georgia? Anyone else seeing that Georgia defense? I think Nolan Smith is going to fit right in with the Saints defense with Dennis Allen, who's a defensive head coach. I just think this will work really well. The defensive line right now is a problem for the Saints, especially if you lose great players like Onyemata and Davenport and Tuttle and Street. You got to fill in that hole right there, and I think Nolan Smith is your guy. Number 30. Now, I say the Philadelphia Eagles select. If we were doing trades, this would be a pick that would get traded away. However, I'm picking the Eagles to pick Will McDonald IV. They don't have many holes, if any. Now, I know you don't know this, but they recently, like yesterday, signed Matt Patricia as their senior defensive assistant.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Which is going to be interesting because Darius Slay is on the team, and Darius Slay had very choice words when he was on the Lions being head coached by Matt Patricia. So I'm not sure how that would work. However, I think if you're not trading up, because we're not doing trades in this mock draft, bolster your defense. You lost Hargrave, which is a huge part of that defensive front. Get another guy on that defensive line, generate pressure. I guarantee you he'll probably be, if there's 70 snaps in a game, 70 defensive snaps, let's just say I'm throwing a number out there, he'll probably play about 20, 25, my guess would be in his rookie year. I think he could be pretty effective here. You're going for depth here. If you're not trading away this pick because we're not doing trades, you want to go depth here. The Eagles don't really have many holes, maybe offensive linemen, although I'll say again, I don't love the offensive lineman at this spot, at least a first-round pick type of an offensive lineman at this spot, because Lane Johnson was hurt. Jason Kelsey is up there in age. You have offensive linemen that maybe have injury problems. Lane Johnson, he's a huge part of that offense. He barely gives up any sacks in his entire career, so maybe go offensive lineman. I just think defense, you lost a couple people on defense. You want to get that defense going at the same level. You had 70 sacks last year. You're going for the 85 Bears record, which is incredibly impressive. So, once again, not trading away this pick because that's not what we're doing here. But get that defense up again. And the final pick from my mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, at number 31 select wide receiver Josh Downs. You lost Juju Smith-Schuster. You re-signed, I believe, Justin Watson. Mahomes throwing to Justin Watson or to you lost Mecole Hardman as well. You need to get a wide receiver, someone to replenish what you lost. Now, Mahomes is insane. He won with Juju Smith-Schuster not being all that great. So, they tried to get him, but the Patriots outbid for Juju, which I think is just a dumb idea. Josh Downs, UNC, I think he's a first round pick as a wide receiver. Now, honestly, maybe the Bills could get him as a wide receiver 3. The Bengals maybe as a wide receiver 3, although they have plenty of receivers. I think the Chiefs need to get a wide receiver early in this draft because I don't think they're going out spending a bunch of money on like a DeAndre Hopkins, even though DeAndre Hopkins wants to play for the Chiefs. He sort of he non-verbally confirmed that he wants to be on the Chiefs and as well as the Bills. But I think without Juju, without Mecole Hardman, I think you got to get someone in there that's not, a wide receiver 4, like a Sky Moore or someone being your main target, or a running back like McKissick, if I'm not mistaken, or even Pacheco. He's out for a couple passes. You got to get some wide receivers. Mahomes is insane. He could do tremendous things. You got to give him at least someone to throw it to. He doesn't need to be that great because he didn't have a great receiving core this year. You got to at least give him someone that is at least adequate. And Josh Downs in the slot, that's where Juju played. I think this could be a match made in heaven. Maybe. We will have to see, though, because it is, you have to think about it. Rookie receiver. I'm not too sure how that will work, but those are my picks. That is my mock draft round 1. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.